All right, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of New House, Same Address. I'm joined by Karis and Eric.
Hello.
Hi.
Raise the roof. Ow, that hurts my shoulder.
Wow. You're too young for that to hurt.
I know. There's something wrong. Anyways, let's continue on the path that we've set before us. What is today's topic, Eric?
How to ask good questions.
Ooh.
We tried this once before and it didn't work. So
Because we forgot to hit record.
Well, no questions asked. I'm going to move my mic, guys. No one.
there's some. We had some technical difficulties.
That one
just
almost.
like that.
We have a lot of difficulties.
Yeah, so we don't know what we're doing. We're just learning as we go.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's okay.
Well,
So yeah, how to ask good questions. What's the benefit of asking good questions is my question.
to you. Back to you. And how does it relate to, the type of work that we do? It's a good question.
Well, how do we know what type of work to do unless we ask the questions that help people help us understand what our clients need?
Mm-hmm.
And so that is something we do work on as a company, is how to ask the questions that help us understand what the needs are and how we can address them in the most in the way that the client wants, needs, and can afford.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Nice.
I think learning how to ask good questions helps you become a better communicator as well, because you can dive deep, as it were.
Yes.
Versus just like surface level stuff. Asking good questions initiates good conversation,
Right.
I believe.
Mm-hmm. It's
What
also,
are the? No, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's also a good relationship builder, too.
Yes.
Learning how to formulate questions in a way that really dives deep and unpacks, the actual assumptions, underlying assumptions and stuff like that. Just creates really good conversation, builds really good rapport. So, that could, play into whatever you're doing, if you're doing consulting and whatnot and trying to figure out what their needs are. Try to get to the bottom of what exactly is motivating them to do what they're wanting to do, or just in general, just having a good, friendly conversation. So either way, it's building trust and relationship.
Yeah. What I'd like to talk about are kind of what are the best questions to ask, what the best type of questions, I guess. Any ideas,
The ones
Mr. Johnston?
the ones that require a yes are the best questions.
Oh, really? Okay. Just single word answers.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, open-ended questions. That was
yeah.
That was the answer.
My bad. Yes.
So, yeah. Open-ended questions are better because of why? You have to...
Well, someone has to, when you ask an open-ended question, the person that you are having a conversation with has to go beyond just the yes or no. They have to be able to explain it and articulate it. And a lot of times when you're fleshing out a thought or you're working out what an opinion is, both of you have a better understanding of the issue at hand. We come into someone's house and they say they want a grab bar. Okay. What makes you want a grab bar in this particular spot? Well, what does that... It's not a yes or no answer. It's, because when we enter the room, this is where we like to hang up our towel or hang up our robe and then be able to use that as a push off to get in the shower, whatever. And so it opens up the conversation. So then you can help figure out that their main concern is the safety or the whatever it might be, if they have balance issues or if they have hip problems or, something like that. And then that can change the conversation slightly to be able to suggest things that might help with that particular need that may or may not be a grab bar in that particular spot. If we're going to relate it back to remodeling bathrooms.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think when it comes to open-ended questions, the best ones, in my opinion, they start with what, when, how, who,
Where, why?
why.
No, we talked about that before.
Yeah.
What is the difference in the why?
It sounds aggressive.
Very.
That's what you told me.
It's accusatory.
It's
So
accusatory.
you have to defend your position.
Yes.
You ask a why question. You have to defend it.
And that's more for Those questions are more for, your cops and debates.
Interrogation.
Yeah, but not for consultations.
Well, it's just not good in any type of conversation, really. I mean, we're obviously a remodeling company. We're going to relate everything back sometimes to remodeling. But just in...
or our favorite vegetables.
We have talked about things like that before. But the idea of being able to ask good questions just takes every relationship and every conversation to a different level. That's how you really get to know someone, because then you understand the thought process, or you can gain a better understanding of the thought process behind someone's particular opinion. I mean, questions have really changed the way I view everything in life, in the world, in business.
Yeah, when you're like, the why question is bad, because if I said, Justin, why did you do that? Versus, what was your reasoning behind making that decision? Tonality can play into that as well. Like, you can be very, why did you do that? Or, so that it just makes you feel different. If you're constantly asked why you did something, you feel like you're defending yourself, you're backed into a corner.
Right.
Are you going to have the right answer? So when you eliminate why questions as much as possible and replace it with something more like, what's the reason for this? Then it's less, intense. People talk more. Yeah. It's my opinion. What do you think, Ms. Karras?
I would agree. I mean, I'm trying to think.
Why would you agree?
Well,
why would you disagree?
Okay, so, Justin, why did you choose a styrofoam cup this morning?
Because it was the only one available.
That's pretty
Was
good.
it, though?
Truly? No, I could have let it pour in my hands.
There's another cup back there. I saw it.
Well, I'm not going to use Eric's.
That is a wise opinion right there. But I mean, you could. But also, you have an appointment after the thing. After we record, so you're going to need something that's easily disposable or something like that. It can change the whole idea of why you make a decision the way you did. Like, because I would choose a styrofoam cup if it were the absolute last thing available and I was running out the door. Because otherwise, I can't stand styrofoam.
Yeah, I don't particularly like it neither.
Yeah.
But I guess in my mind, it was the only one that was available. I didn't search out a different coffee mug this morning.
Okay.
So if you want to get real deep, if you just assume that there's only one option, then that's the one that you went with. Now that is a good question. Now we can get into some deep stuff right there.
Oh, but it's also, I mean, I don't know. I just think questions are really key to any type of relationship too. I know that, like, even for usually on Thursday nights we go out to dinner and we talk about business, we talk about life, whatever. But if we have questions, a lot of times we have a shared note and he'll put questions on there for us to discuss.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about business, like things to consider for the business. But a lot of times it's just stuff for our family or for us. And it's led to really good conversation. Like if we know we're not going to have time to have this conversation for a while, we write it down so we make sure we can discuss it when we have time. And usually if it's in the form of a question, we can hash it out a little more like deeply than we would normally.
Yeah.
Is date night usually outside, like out in the wilderness, or does it take place at home? What I mean
That's
by that
a
is
yes
like
or no question.
dinner
almost.
or like walking around. What is your go-to?
Wilderness?
The wilderness.
You go out
Is
to
that
the
not a good word?
wilderness and-
Do you hike?
Travel out into the wilderness.
I wouldn't mind that, I guess. We've
Yeah.
done that a few times, but
A little picnic. Out
Hey,
in
I
the
know that we're
woods.
doing a very intense hike right now, but I have a serious question to ask you.
hey, hiking
Please
is
answer
a
me
great
while you're out of
time
breath.
to discuss. Hiking is
Honestly,
a great time
yes.
to ask. To
I
answer,
actually
go
think
to
better on my feet. So
Yeah, well, me and
If-
Lexi have had great
a lot of times
conversations
if you're on the
hiking.
phone, like I'm pacing around because I don't know what it is about it.
Well,
Yeah,
I
me
know
too.
that Justin likes that because he walks in the warehouse up and down and up and down.
Yes.
I think there's something pretty profound about that, honestly.
Oh, I talk better on the phone if I'm having a
think more.
conversation.
If
I'm-
you're
Only
moving.
geniuses
Think better
do
for
that.
moving.
I can fold a lot of clothes if someone's asking me good questions. A whole week's worth. Pretty fast. But
What's another question you have on your list there?
Oh, I have a whole journal of questions.
Okay. Eric, ask me a really good question. That's interesting. Why do you say that?
What do you want to be proud you accomplished by the time you're 30?
Oh my gosh. What do I want to be proud of?
Too good of a question?
When I'm 30.
That's pretty.
I'm turning
that's a pretty
25 this
big-
year, so it's essentially in
Yes.
5 years. Okay, I want to be proud of the work that I'm doing, the business that I work for. I want to be proud of it'll be very early stages of family that I've raised so far. At that point, it'll be 8 years of marriage. I want to be proud of that, very proud of that. Keeping it together. I don't know what the average United States average is, but definitely past that. Obviously, my goal is forever. But anyhow, I want to be proud of my marriage. I want to be proud of the things that I've built and worked on and did by my own hand. So that would be my personal work Monday through Friday, but also the after-hour stuff like boxing or getting better at chess, just getting, reading books, intellectually just learning more, building stuff around the house or remodeling, stuff of that nature. So proud of the home, the relationships that I have, and the work that I do. Main 3 categories. That's what I want to be proud of in the next 5 years.
And see, I think this is a great example of a question, a really good question. I mean, obviously, it made it into your journal, so it's a good question. But the idea, okay, so now you could take any one of the things that you just said and ask more questions about, well, how do you define a successful marriage that you're proud of? How do you define, a successful family that you've raised thus far? How do you define successful work Monday through Friday? What makes you say you want to be proud of your boxing skills? Like,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of things. It can lead to such good and rich conversation that can go in so many different directions, because that conversation is going to be different when you have it with your wife than when you have it with a friend, than when you have it with an acquaintance at work. So it's going to be, they're just really good ways to expand your
Yeah.
your
And I would
conversation.
follow up that question with, what's the biggest action you could take in the next 2 weeks to help move you towards that goal?
Mm-hmm. That one requires a lot of thought. If I had to answer off the cusp, it would be continuing doing. Lexi and I reread our marriage books that we read during premarital counseling.
Okay.
And we sit at the table every night and eat dinner and talk together. Doesn't matter.
That's good.
That's something that we set in place that's really important. So that's one step, continuing doing that. Now it falls around every now and then. So, it's always about picking yourself back up and making sure you stay focused, because just things get in the way. Get home, get tired. Would rather watch TV or do something, but, actually taking the time. So
Yeah.
for work, it'd be continue just to bust butt and do what I can and grow better, and the skills of the position that I'm currently in to make a difference, not only in the business life, but also the people that we serve. What was the third one? Oh, yeah, the stuff that I own. That one is just, that one's a weekend by weekend deal for sure. Slowly working on it. So, I'm going to be doing the shower remodel soon.
Yeah.
So
that's
that
exciting.
that one is
That'd
going to be
fun.
exciting.
Yeah.
So that one I'm going to be very excited to do.
Yeah, one of the things you notice about asking good questions is you say less and the other person says more. And the top salespeople in any industry, pretty much, you can follow a pattern where they don't talk maybe 30% of the time, 30 to 40% of the time they're actually saying things.
Yeah.
Whereas the person they're talking with, or the client, pretty much is just talking 60, 70, 80% of the time.
Yeah.
And what's the saying, like, people don't remember
what you said, but how you
what
made
you
them
said,
feel.
but how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And so asking good questions, people generally like talking about themselves. And
Yeah.
so they feel like it's the greatest conversation of all. And you could have only said a few things at a time.
Yeah.
Well, I know the good rule of thumb when in the business coaching courses that I've been through and consulting courses, is if you're in a position of helping someone move forward, if you are asking the right questions, you're encouraging them to think through and to talk out loud and to process it and kind of think it through verbally. You should be speaking about 10 to 15% of the time.
Yeah.
And the person you're talking with or consulting with should be speaking the other
Yeah.
portion of that. And that is different from teaching because you're helping them come to their own conclusions. And that actually is the best way to convince anyone of anything, is to help them think it through to they think of the right solution for them.
Yes.
That, I mean, we can't, in relating it to remodeling, we can't sell anyone something they don't want or they don't need.
And that's the truth about anything, really.
It really is. And so, like, when we come in and we start asking questions and then we help define the problem, then we can help define the solution.
Yeah.
And then they can move forward at that point. If we come in and they're like, we need, I don't know, stainless steel shower walls and, gold-plated toilets, we're going to be like, as we go through those questions, that's not going to be something we can help you with, and then we can quickly not waste any more of your time.
I think that's something I get hung up quite a bit on. That's something I'm still developing because when I think I'm asking good questions and then the answer is very short, I have to really quickly switch gears and try to think of a different question, and I get hung up. So that's a skill I'm still developing and hope to get a lot better at, is asking good questions and keep the conversation moving. But when it's answered in a way that when I didn't expect it to, that's when I get in trouble.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And you don't have to have a huge repertoire of good questions either. I mean, it helps.
I mean, I feel like I would have to, because when I ask the one and I expect this long answer and then it's not, then I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do now.
But a lot of times all that is that you can ask the same question in a different way, because just not everyone hears things the same way. If you ask it in a way that someone in their life has been, asking them on a regular basis, then that they have, by the end of 20 years, they've come up with a very short answer. So if you're asking the same type of question, but in slightly different wording, all you have to do is spark a different thought process.
Yeah.
And it can go into and not that you want to lead people into questions, but you're trying to find what the underlying motive is. And that really, the same question just asked in different ways can really
absolutely
help.
We can't help people if we can't understand like what problem they're trying to solve. But going back to that, if you get a response, you're like, I don't know what to do next. Tricks of the trade are, this as well as reversals. So like if it's say you ask a question and they're like, well, I just don't like it. You don't like it. And you're just saying what they just said back to them in the form of a question, which they automatically are going to, well, he didn't understand what I was saying, so I have to over explain it. Or, the fallback one we use a lot. That's interesting. What makes you say that? Or what makes you ask that?
Well, it's kind of like asking your wife, is anything wrong? No.
No.
That probably is not the right answer.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we're good here.
She says she's fine.
Awesome.
I assure you
thought there was
that is
something.
not.
I'm going to play disc golf with my buddies. Thanks.
That'll work well for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I don't know that I have anything else to talk about. Questions, really, but I would encourage you, like, if this is something you're interested in, anytime you run across a good question, to write it down. That's what I do. And I've got different categories: work, life, business, money, creativity, any of those things where I'll just go through and read these from time to time and be like, oh, that.
Yeah, depending on
that's
what
good.
if we're talking about something for business, or we talking about relationships, or we're talking about planning, or we're talking about business structure, or even hiring, you have a list of questions you like to go through and have like fresh on your mind. So when you are in an interview with someone, you have the right kind of questions kind of, fresh. So that's been very helpful. I mean, I have a couple of friends, we text questions back and forth. Oh, I heard this question. What do you think about this one? And that's been helpful, because then we have really good discussions about the nature of the question, what it can reveal, what it can help us, accomplish. So it's a fascinating study, I think.
Yeah, it really is. Stay curious.
That's right.
I love that.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of New House, Same Address. We'll talk to you in the next one.
See ya.
Later.
Bye.